Sarah stepped off the plane, her heart racing with anticipation as she inhaled the familiar scent of New York City. The bustling airport was a whirlwind of activity, yet in that moment, all she could focus on was the thought of reuniting with Jake. It had been months since she had left for her work trip across Europe, capturing stunning landscapes and vibrant street scenes through her lens. Each click of her camera had been a reminder of her passion, but nothing compared to the excitement of being back home, ready to embrace the love she shared with Jake. As she walked through the terminal, her thoughts danced around the plans they had made. Dinners at their favorite Italian restaurant, strolls through Central Park, and lazy Sundays spent in each other's arms. Her lips curled into a smile as she imagined Jake's warm embrace, the way his eyes would light up when he saw her. She grabbed her suitcase and made her way to the arrivals area, scanning the crowd for his familiar face. "Sarah," she heard a voice call out. It was Jake, standing there with a bouquet of vibrant flowers, the kind that made her heart flutter. He looked just as she remembered, with his tousled hair and that charming grin that could melt away her worries. "Jake," she exclaimed, rushing toward him. They wrapped each other in a tight embrace, the world around them fading into the background. "I missed you so much." "I missed you too," he replied, pulling back to look into her eyes. "How was the trip?" "It was amazing. You wouldn't believe the places I visited," she said, her excitement bubbling over. "I got some incredible shots. I can't wait to show you." "Let's get you home," he suggested, taking her hand as they walked toward the exit, the warmth of his touch igniting a sense of comfort within her. However, as they entered their apartment, the atmosphere shifted. Sarah's heart raced, but not with excitement. The door swung open, and her smile faltered as she took in the scene before her. Laughter echoed through the room, but it was not the laughter she had longed to hear. There on their couch, Jake sat too comfortably beside a woman Sarah didn't recognize, both of them sharing a moment that felt too intimate. "Jake," Sarah managed to choke out, her voice barely above a whisper. Confusion washed over her, morphing into disbelief as she processed the sight. The woman leaned closer, her hand resting on Jake's knee, and Sarah felt her heart shatter into a million pieces. "Sarah." Jake started, but the words faltered as he stood, his expression shifting from surprise to guilt. "What is going on here?" she demanded, her voice trembling as she struggled to comprehend the betrayal laid out before her. "Let me explain," Jake said, stepping toward her, but she took a step back, the hurt evident in her eyes. "Explain? How do you explain this?" she asked, gesturing toward the woman who simply sat there, her gaze shifting between them, seemingly unsure of how to react. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this," Jake stammered, running a hand through his hair, a gesture Sarah remembered all too well when he was stressed. "Didn't mean for me to find out," she echoed, her voice rising. "You didn't think to mention it at all?" "I thought we could talk it out," he said, desperation creeping into his tone. "Talk it out? There's nothing to talk about." Sarah felt the tears welling up in her eyes, and the weight of her heartbreak threatened to crush her. "I need some air," she said, turning on her heel and fleeing the apartment, leaving Jake to grapple with the mess he had created. Outside, the cool evening air hit her like a slap. She stumbled into a nearby park, seeking refuge among the trees and shadows. The laughter of happy couples surrounded her, a cruel reminder of what she had lost. Sitting on a bench, she wrapped her arms around her knees, trying to contain the storm of emotions swirling inside her. "Why?" she whispered to herself, her voice breaking. "What went wrong?" The questions echoed in her mind, intertwining with the memories of their love, the late-night talks, the shared dreams, the promises. They had been happy, hadn't they? But now, that happiness felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by betrayal and pain. As she looked around, couples walked by hand in hand, their smiles a stark contrast to the ache in her heart. Sarah closed her eyes, letting the tears flow freely. She had come back to celebrate love, only to find herself confronting the end of it. And in that moment of solitude, she realized she had to find a way to rediscover herself, to reclaim the passion that had once defined her. Sarah sat at a small round table in the bustling cafe, her hands wrapped tightly around a steaming mug of coffee. The aroma filled the air, mingling with the chatter of patrons and the soft clinking of dishes. She could feel the weight of her heartbreak pressing down on her, making it hard to breathe. Across from her, Megan watched with concern, Her brow furrowed as she took a sip of her own drink. "Sarah, I can't believe he would do that to you," Megan said, her voice low yet firm, as if trying to steady the storm brewing beneath the surface of Sarah's emotions. "I thought we had something special," Sarah replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I poured my heart into that relationship. I thought he was my forever." Megan leaned closer, her eyes softening. "You deserve better than someone who betrays your trust. You need to focus on yourself right now. Rediscover who you are outside of him." A tear slipped down Sarah's cheek, and she quickly brushed it away. "I just don't know where to start. It feels like I lost a part of myself with him." Megan nodded, understanding the depth of Sarah's pain. "What about photography? You've always loved it. Remember how passionate you were when you were out shooting in Europe?" Sarah's heart fluttered at the mention of her love for photography, a passion that had taken a back seat during her relationship with Jake. "I haven't picked up my camera in weeks. It just feels pointless now." "That's where you're wrong," Megan countered, her tone insistent. "Photography isn't just a hobby for you. It's a part of who you are. You need to reconnect with it. How about a trip? Just you and me? We could head to the Catskills Mountains for a weekend. The scenery is breathtaking, and you could find inspiration there." Sarah considered the proposal, the idea of escaping the confines of her heartbreak appealing. "The Catskills," she repeated, her mind racing with images of rolling hills and vibrant sunsets. "I haven't been there in years. It could be good for me." "Exactly. We could hike, explore, and you can take as many photos as you want. It's just what you need to clear your mind and find yourself again," Megan encouraged, her enthusiasm infectious. "Okay," Sarah said, a small smile breaking through the fog of despair. "Let's do it. I'll pack my camera." The following weekend, they found themselves driving through the winding roads of the Catskills, surrounded by lush greenery and the distant sound of birds chirping. Sarah felt a sense of freedom wash over her, the weight of the city and her heartbreak slowly lifting with every mile. As they arrived at their cabin, nestled among towering trees, she took a deep breath, inhaling the crisp mountain air. "This is perfect," Sarah exclaimed as she stepped out of the car, her spirits lifting. The beauty around her was intoxicating, and she could already feel her creative juices beginning to flow. Megan grinned, already unpacking their bags. "Let's drop our stuff and go for a hike. There's a viewpoint I know that's absolutely stunning, especially at sunrise." The thought of capturing the dawn light ignited a spark within Sarah, and she quickly grabbed her camera. They set off on the trail, the path winding through the forest, dappled sunlight filtering through the leaves above. As they reached the viewpoint, Sarah was in awe. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a golden hue over the sprawling valley below. She raised her camera, her heart racing with excitement as she snapped photos, each click of the shutter pulling her deeper into her passion. "Look at you," Megan called out, laughing as she watched Sarah move effortlessly, framing the perfect shot. "You're back." Sarah paused for a moment, her camera resting at her side as she took in the scene before her. "I forgot how beautiful it is up here," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "And how much I love capturing moments like this." With renewed energy, she resumed photographing the sunrise, the colors blending into a breathtaking palette. The world around her seemed to fade away, leaving only her and the art she created. In that moment, Sarah knew she was on the right path. The journey of self-discovery had begun, and she was ready to embrace it fully. Sarah stepped into the vibrant photography workshop, her heart fluttering with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The room was alive with the chatter of aspiring photographers, each eager to share their stories and learn from one another. Sunlight streamed through the large windows, illuminating the various photographs displayed on the walls, each one telling a unique tale. As she scanned the room, her gaze landed on a group gathered around a table, animatedly discussing their latest projects. "Hey there! Are you new?" A bright voice interrupted her thoughts. Sarah turned to see a woman with curly hair and an infectious smile, extending her hand in greeting. "Yeah, I just joined the group," Sarah replied, shaking her hand. "I'm Sarah." "I'm Lily," the woman beamed. "Welcome. You're going to love it here. It's such a supportive community. We share our work and give feedback." It really helps to grow as an artist. Sarah felt a warmth spread through her chest. This was exactly what she needed, a place to express herself, free from the shadows of her past. As the workshop began, the instructor, a seasoned photographer named Mark, introduced the day's theme: vulnerability in photography. Photography is more than just capturing images. It's about conveying emotions, Mark explained. I want you to think about what vulnerability means to you and how you can express that through your lens. Sarah listened intently, her thoughts drifting to the heartbreak she had experienced. She realized that her pain could fuel her creativity. After the initial exercises, participants were encouraged to share their stories behind their favorite photographs. One by one, they opened up about their struggles and triumphs, and Sarah found herself captivated by their honesty. When it was her turn, she took a deep breath. I recently went through a difficult breakup, she began, her voice steady but soft. I thought I had everything figured out, but I realized I lost myself along the way. Photography has helped me reconnect with who I am. The room fell silent, and she could feel the weight of their attention. I've started a series focusing on moments of vulnerability. It's about embracing the rawness of life. Wow, that's powerful, Lily said, her eyes shining with understanding. I can't wait to see your work. The workshop continued, and as Sarah clicked away with her camera, capturing the world around her, she felt a sense of liberation. Each click of the shutter was a small step towards healing. She found herself drawn to the juxtaposition of strength and fragility in her surroundings. An elderly man feeding birds in the park, a child laughing as he chased a butterfly, a single flower growing through a crack in the pavement. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah diligently worked on her series, pouring her heart into each photograph. She began to see beauty in her vulnerability and strength in her journey. One evening, after a particularly inspiring day, she sat on her bed, surrounded by prints of her work. Look at these, she said to Megan, who was perched on the edge of the bed, flipping through the images. They all tell a story of resilience. Megan smiled, her eyes sparkling with pride. You've really captured something special here, Sarah. It's like your camera has become an extension of your emotions. Thanks, Meg. I feel like I'm finally starting to understand myself again, Sarah admitted, a sense of calm washing over her. Meanwhile, Jake sat in a dimly lit bar with his friends, nursing a drink as he listened to their conversation about relationships. You can't just let her go, man. You have to fight for her, his friend Tom urged, leaning in closer. I know, but I messed up, Jake replied, frustration evident in his voice. How do I even begin to make things right? Start by understanding what she loves, another friend chimed in. Show her you care about her passions. Like photography. Maybe take a class or something. Jake pondered this advice, feeling a mix of determination and uncertainty. The thought of Sarah finding solace in her art while he remained stagnant gnawed at him. I just don't want to lose her for good, he confessed. Then do something about it, Tom said, determination in his tone. Show her you're willing to change. As the evening wore on, Jake felt a flicker of resolve igniting within him. For the first time since the breakup, he started to envision a path toward redemption, one that could lead him back to Sarah. After enrolling in the photography workshop, Jake felt an unusual mixture of excitement and trepidation. He arrived at the community center, a quaint building nestled within a park, its walls adorned with photographs that told stories of moments frozen in time. The scent of fresh paint mingled with the faint aroma of coffee wafting from the corner. As he entered the main room, he was greeted by an eclectic group of aspiring photographers, each with their own unique backgrounds and stories. Welcome, everyone, the instructor, a vibrant woman in her 40s named Lisa, announced with a warm smile. Today, we are going to explore the world through our lenses and discover how photography can be a powerful outlet for our emotions. Jake's heart raced to the thought of capturing the beauty he had always overlooked, especially the beauty that Sarah had cherished so deeply. As the workshop began, the participants were tasked with a simple exercise: to go outside and photograph something in nature that resonated with them. Jake stepped into the dappled sunlight, the warmth on his skin easing some of his anxiety. He wandered through the park, his camera hanging loosely around his neck, feeling slightly out of place among the other more seasoned photographers. He found himself drawn to a cluster of wildflowers swaying gently in the breeze. As he knelt down, adjusting the lens, He realized that he was not just capturing an image but expressing a feeling he had long buried beneath layers of guilt and regret. With each click of the shutter, he felt a cathartic release, as if the flowers were whispering secrets to him about resilience and beauty. "Hey, what did you find?" a fellow participant, a young woman named Clara, asked as she approached him. Her camera was adorned with stickers, and her enthusiasm was contagious. "Just these wildflowers," Jake replied, holding up his camera to show her. "I think they remind me of how things can grow even in the harshest conditions." "Absolutely. Nature has a way of reflecting our own struggles, doesn't it?" Clara said, her eyes sparkling with understanding. "What you see is what you feel. That's the beauty of photography." Jake nodded, her words resonating deeply within him. He realized that this journey wasn't just about learning a new skill. It was also about reconnecting with himself and the emotions he had neglected. As he continued to photograph the flowers, he felt a sense of clarity wash over him. The vibrant colors and delicate petals symbolized hope, a stark contrast to the darkness he had felt in the wake of his betrayal. Later that evening, back in the workshop, Jake shared his photos with the group. As he projected the images onto the screen, he spoke with an unexpected passion. "These flowers, they remind me of resilience. They thrive despite the odds. It's kind of how I feel right now, trying to find my way back after everything." The group listened intently, and Lisa offered encouraging nods. "That's a beautiful perspective, Jake. Photography has an incredible ability to tell our stories, and it seems like you're beginning to find your voice." Jake left the workshop feeling lighter, the weight of his past slowly lifting. He thought of Sarah and how she had always seen the world through a lens of beauty, capturing moments that others might overlook. Maybe, just maybe, he could bridge the gap between their worlds once again. Meanwhile, Sarah was busy forging her own path. She received an email that evening inviting her to participate in a local art exhibition showcasing emerging artists. Her heart raced as she read the details, the opportunity representing everything she had worked for during her journey of self-discovery. Megan, her ever-supportive friend, erupted with excitement when Sarah shared the news. "This is amazing, Sarah. You have to do it. Your work deserves to be seen." "I can't believe it," Sarah replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've poured so much of myself into my photography. What if no one likes it? Who cares what others think?" Megan countered, "This is your moment. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you. Just think of all those beautiful moments you've captured. They deserve to shine." Sarah felt a surge of confidence as she considered the invitation. Her photographs were an extension of her soul, reflecting her journey through pain and healing. The idea of sharing that with others ignited a fire within her, a desire to express herself unapologetically. As she prepared her submission, Sarah recalled the moments in the Catskills when she had rediscovered her passion. Each image was a testament to her resilience and newfound strength. The thought of standing among other artists, presenting her work to a crowd, filled her with both excitement and fear. With the exhibition approaching, Sarah felt a mix of emotions swirling within her. She had come so far, but the road ahead was still uncertain. Yet, in that uncertainty lay the potential for something beautiful, just like the wildflowers Jake had photographed, reminding her that growth often comes from the most unexpected places. As the exhibition approached, Sarah felt a whirlwind of emotions swirling within her. It was a mixture of excitement and anxiety, each pulse echoing the journey she had undertaken over the past few months. She stood in front of her bedroom mirror, adjusting her hair, unsure of what to wear. The sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating her photographs hanging on the wall. Each image told a story, a moment of vulnerability, a glimpse of strength, that had transformed her from the heartbroken woman she once was into someone ready to embrace her true self. "Sarah, you look amazing. Just breathe." Megan's voice broke through her thoughts as she entered the room, her own outfit a vibrant splash of color that perfectly reflected her vivacious spirit. "This is your night. You've worked so hard. Let's celebrate." Sarah chuckled nervously, her heart racing. "I can't believe so many people will see my work. What if they don't like it? What if they judge me?" Megan stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on Sarah's shoulder. "They will love it. You've poured your heart into these photographs. Just remember, This is about you finding your voice. Speak from the heart, and everything will fall into place." Taking a deep breath, Sarah nodded, feeling a flicker of confidence ignite within her. The thought of sharing her journey with others was both terrifying and exhilarating. She wanted to convey her transformation, her healing process, and how photography had become her escape and her voice. As they arrived at the gallery, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. The walls were adorned with Sarah's photographs, each one a testament to her resilience and growth. She watched as guests admired her work, their expressions shifting from curiosity to awe. The vibrant colors, the raw emotions captured in each frame, it was everything she had hoped for and more. "Megan, look at all these people. They're really appreciating it," Sarah exclaimed, her eyes shining with pride. Megan grinned. "And you deserve every bit of this recognition. Just remember what we talked about. When it's time to speak, own your story." As the evening progressed, Sarah mingled with guests, her initial nervousness gradually fading. She felt a sense of belonging, a connection with those who understood the power of art. Yet, in the back of her mind, a thought lingered. Jake would be here tonight. Would he be able to see the new version of her? The thought both thrilled and terrified her. Meanwhile, Jake was pacing in front of the gallery, battling his own inner demons. He had heard about the exhibition from mutual friends and couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to see Sarah again. More than anything, he wanted to witness the woman she had become, yet a part of him was terrified. What if she had moved on? What if she had found happiness without him? Gathering his courage, he stepped inside. The moment he entered, a wave of admiration washed over him as he took in the stunning photographs that adorned the walls. Each piece was a reflection of Sarah's soul, a narrative of her journey. He felt a pang of regret, realizing how deeply he had underestimated her passion. "Jake, you made it," a friend called out, pulling him into a conversation. But Jake's eyes were drawn to Sarah, standing across the room, glowing with confidence and surrounded by admirers. The sight of her ignited a mix of emotions: pride and heartache, admiration and longing. "Excuse me," he said abruptly, making his way through the crowd. He needed to talk to her, to acknowledge the incredible person she had become. As he approached, he could feel his heart racing, the memories of their time together flooding back. He wanted to say so much, yet words felt inadequate. "Sarah," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. She turned, her expression shifting from surprise to guarded curiosity. "Jake." The air between them was thick with unspoken words and memories. As the noise of the gallery faded into the background, it was just the two of them, a moment suspended in time. Jake could see the strength in her eyes, the determination that had replaced the vulnerability he once knew. "I'm so proud of you," he admitted, his sincerity evident. "Your work is amazing." "Thank you," she replied, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. "This journey has changed me in ways I never expected." Jake nodded, taking a step closer. "I've changed too. I'm trying to be better, not just for you, but for myself. I hope you can see that." Sarah's heart raced at his words. She wanted to believe him, to feel the warmth of the connection they once shared. But she also knew that healing took time, and trust was not easily rebuilt. "I appreciate that, Jake. But this is my moment tonight. I need to focus on what I've created." "I understand," he replied, his heart heavy with the weight of her words. "But I'm here, and I want to support you. I miss you, Sarah." The sincerity in his voice caught her off guard. The vulnerability in his expression reminded her of the love they once shared, a love that had been buried under betrayal but was now fighting to resurface. "I need time," she said softly, her heart torn between hope and caution. "Take all the time you need." "I'll be here," Jake promised, a flicker of determination igniting in his chest. As they stood there, surrounded by the vibrant energy of the exhibition, both knew this night was just the beginning of a new chapter, a chance to redefine their paths and, perhaps, their relationship. The day of the exhibition arrived, and the gallery buzzed with excitement, the walls adorned with Sarah's captivating photographs. Each image told a story, moments of vulnerability, strength, and her journey of self-discovery. As she moved through the crowd, her heart swelled with pride. It was exhilarating to see so many people admiring her work, their faces lit up with wonder and appreciation. "Sarah, this is incredible," a voice exclaimed, pulling her from her thoughts. It was Emily, a fellow photographer from the workshop. "You've captured so much emotion in these pieces. I can't believe how far you've come." "Thank you, Emily," Sarah replied, her eyes sparkling. "It feels surreal to see my work displayed like this. I never imagined I'd be here, sharing my story through photography." As the evening progressed, laughter and chatter filled the air, but Sarah felt a curious tension building within her. The gallery door swung open, and in walked Jake. He paused, taking in the scene. The sight of Sarah, vibrant and confident, surrounded by admirers, hit him like a wave. She looked radiant, her laughter echoing in the room, and for a moment he felt lost in the tide of his emotions. "Wow," he whispered to himself, grappling with a mix of pride and regret. He had come to support her, but seeing her shine so brightly made him acutely aware of the distance that had formed between them. He watched her interact with guests, her passion for her art evident in every gesture. Megan spotted Jake and walked over, a knowing smile on her face. "Hey there, Jake. You made it. What do you think?" "It's incredible," he replied, still watching Sarah. "She's really come into her own." "Yeah, she has. But you know, it's important for you to talk to her. She's changed, and so have you. You both deserve to figure this out." Jake nodded, the weight of her words sinking in. He needed to confront the past and embrace the present, but it felt daunting. Gathering his courage, he decided to approach Sarah. As he stepped closer, their eyes met, and the world around them faded. There was an unspoken connection, a pull that neither could ignore. "Sarah," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "can we talk?" "Jake," she replied, a mixture of surprise and caution in her tone. "I didn't expect to see you here." "I had to come," he admitted, glancing around at the crowd before leading her to a quieter corner of the gallery. The atmosphere shifted, and they stood facing each other, the air thick with unspoken words. "I see you've been busy," he started, gesturing toward the photographs. "You've really found your voice." "Photography has helped me find myself again," she said, her gaze steady. "It's more than just capturing moments. It's about understanding my emotions and expressing them. I've learned so much about who I am without you." The weight of her words hit him hard. "I know I hurt you, and I can't change that," he replied, his voice trembling slightly. "But I'm trying to be better. I enrolled in a photography workshop to understand your passion, to understand you." Sarah's eyes widened in surprise. "You did? Why?" "Because I realized that I need to understand what you love. I want to support you," he confessed, his vulnerability laid bare. "I was lost without you, and I don't want to be that person anymore." As they stood there, the tension began to shift. Sarah felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. "It's going to take time, Jake. I've spent so long healing and discovering who I am. I can't just forget what happened." "I understand," he nodded, his expression earnest. "But I'm willing to work for it. I want to be someone you can trust again, even if it's just as friends." "Friends," she echoed, testing the word on her tongue. Felt strange yet comforting. "That seems like a good place to start. Can I show you something?" Jake asked, reaching for his phone. He pulled up a photograph he had taken during the workshop, a breathtaking shot of the sunset over the mountains, vibrant colors bleeding into one another, symbolizing hope and new beginnings. "This is beautiful," Sarah said, genuinely impressed. "You captured it so well." "I wanted to show you that I'm learning to express myself too," he replied, a hint of vulnerability in his voice. "I hope one day I can express how much I regret the pain I caused you." Her heart softened at his sincerity. "It's a start, Jake. Just remember, it's not just about the pictures. It's about our journey forward." In that quiet corner of the gallery, surrounded by the echoes of laughter and the warmth of art, they took their first steps toward rebuilding what had been broken. The connection remained, a thread binding them together, stronger for the distance they had traveled.